Good morning. And here I am, and the camera is crooked. What happened? It is Wednesday, June 19th, 2019. And yeah, it's interesting times, I've got a little kind of weather report to begin with, but I'm going to wait for some people to jump on. Hello out there, I'm live, transmission time. All I need is an engine, transmission will work. Anybody out there? Hello, Ray. Good morning. L. Shannon from Florida. I think you're there. Can I wave? Yes, I can. Here we go. What's this? Well, I can't open a link while I'm doing this. I'll have to look at it later. Thanks. There's a lot afoot. And this brings me to the subject of today's transmission, really, good morning, Ray, is about simplicity, in a way. Good morning, Ruth. I mentioned in the two run-ups to this go live about some of the astrological anomalies going on. The Schumann resonance has been wacko the last few days, in case you didn't notice. And I think to a greater or lesser extent, planetary and cosmological forces are the primary driver of what's going on in terms of our experience on a planetary basis right now. Whether it's cosmological, geopathic, solar, they're all interrelated. Okay, so there's a process. There's something we're going through as a solar system. And astrology and esoteric sciences, metaphysics, spirituality, they are, again, useful language forms for attempting to understand what we're going through, but nobody really knows what's going on, okay? Myself included. It's getting so weird and complex that, good morning, Shrikant. Good afternoon where you are, yes, indeed. And what ends up happening is we have so much complexity to deal with and so much going on and so much we feel impelled or compelled to do that we have lost the plot to a certain extent. So I got reminded of this yesterday with a client that I had in-house here doing recording work. You see the system behind you. I do audio production for coaches, entrepreneurs who want to create meditations, tutorials, activations, all kinds of, really cool stuff. And they bring their ideas here and we make them a reality. Audio for video, for websites or webcasts or whatever. So that was all interesting, but what was more interesting is the subject matter of one of her pieces, which was about fun-seeking, which, of course, in my mind, I also equate with pleasure. And one of the things that I like to remind myself of, because I need that, is that pleasure is a cornerstone of the mammalian experience, the human experience, the soul experience. That pleasure is something that is like a food for the spirit, food for the soul. The eschewing, sorry for the big word, the $5 million word, resisting or, repressing the need or the draw towards things that are pleasurable is essentially damaging to the psyche and to the biology of ourselves, all right? So when, for example, if someone says, well, I'm trying to go beyond human, or I'm thinking that human is somehow an impediment, being in this animalistic body is somehow a curse or a sin or a result of some huge cosmological or divine mistake, I think we are really being led down the garden path with a ring through our nose here. And when I mean garden, I don't mean the Garden of Eden. I think we have a right, a birthright to experience pleasure, to seek pleasure, to enjoy pleasure, to give pleasure, to have fun, all right? There's a lot of noise out there in the media and in the politics and in the business world about, seriousness. Yes, a lot of seriousness going on. Good morning, Julie. In fact, here's my my client, my audio person who has given me the inspiration today to talk about fun and pleasure. Thanks, Julie. So I'm going to talk about it in a broader sense. So how is this counterpointed in the culture? How is this counterpointed in media and politics? Well, there's just a lot of divisiveness. There's a lot of noise about, good morning, Andrea, about, yeah, thanks indeed. Pleasure is, you're my muse. No, pleasure is our muse. Fun is our muse. It's where we learn the best, really, through joy and fun. But, Trump's announcement of his campaign, it's like he's going to be more outrageous, divisive, and nasty as ever. It's like the Tory leadership race is an absolute three-ring circus. We are so distracted, or being so distracted, or being led to be so distracted, that we're in a constant state of chronic anxiety and chronic mentation. We can't get out of our own heads long enough to understand what we actually are feeling most of the time. And it doesn't feel good. So what we end up happening is we get on our Don Quixote horse and we try to ride off and fix everything. Good morning, Margaret. We try to ride off and fix everything in whatever arena that we are most galvanized by, or we have a personal investment in. And then, we bang the drum for that, and then there's banging the drum for something else, and nothing seems to change. It's like me, having immersed myself into new thought, new awakening, new age stuff 25 years ago, and realizing that not much has really changed in the last 25 years. In fact, in some ways, it's actually gotten stranger and worse. Is that because we are becoming more apathetic or more comfortable with distortion and discord? I don't know what it is. So I don't pretend to sit here and have all the answers, but I have some pretty good ideas and clues about what's going on. So on the geopathic and solar and cosmological side of things, we are being stimulated to extraordinary degrees to evolve or change. And the feedback we have through the world culture is anything but about evolution and change. It's about retrenchment back into the past, trying to hold on to what is falling apart all around everybody. All right, Rome is burning. Let's be honest about it. But what does pleasure and fun have to do around all of this? It helps us to remember how to feel, and it helps us to remember what really nourishes us, and it helps us to remember what's really essentially important about this thing called the human experiment or human experience. And that is that there is no difference between the human experience and the divine experience. All right? We cannot create more of that experience with more content, more static, more rules, more techniques, technologies, more this, more that, and more everything else. We're just building more walls between us and that experience. Yeah, that's right. Exactly, Julie. So there is this kind of conundrum of do I pay attention to what's going on around me and think, that it's important to get caught up in all that, or do I ignore it all and put my head in the sand and think, oh, it's not going to have, well, there's a happy medium between ignoring and responding. And so I don't think we ignore what's going on. We don't stick our heads in the sand and say, this doesn't concern me, or whatever, because sooner or later, somebody, and this is borne out by the astrology right now, somebody behind closed doors is going to make decisions that will affect you and affect me. And we have no say in it. Yeah, sure, that's not fair, and it's not right. But it's what's so, because we allow it to be that way. We collectively have constructed an idea about there are people who know better than us, and that is the consensus reality, and we continue to go along with it. All right? So here's the astrological nod, not just the cosmological, solar, and geopathic Schumann resonance stuff. You know, what is driving us nuts, what is driving us to distraction on the 360-degree horizon of our lives is the Saturn-Pluto conjunct each other, and now Jupiter is going to come into the mix in Capricorn, which is all about power and structures, and singularity of purpose, responsibility, and restriction. Saturn is time, chronos. There's not enough time for anything. You notice that? Time, what is that? You know, there's so much content in our lives that time is becoming compressed out of existence. So much information. We're processing 50 million times more information than we did in 1950. If you have lived that long, believe me, I know it's true. That's an interesting conundrum for me, though, Susan, taking spirituality to a political level. Politics, by definition, is nothing about power, nothing but anything about power. It's only about power, and it's only about negotiation or brokering for power. So let's not try to spiritualize that. I think what we need to understand is the political system is a tool of much larger forces and structures. Capitalism, patriarchy, I don't know. You can tag any number of labels onto this and create a meme out of it. But here's the thing. We all are blinkered to a certain extent. Even somebody running for president who has very good spiritual ethics and morals. You can't change it from the top down. It's got to be changed from the inside out, from the bottom up. Jimmy Carter, who I consider to be a very spiritually oriented, grounded, good Christian, Southern Baptist individual, went into Washington, D.C. in 1974-75 thinking he was going to completely turn around the status quo and take the power back for the people. He was severely and totally humbled by what he encountered, and it aged him way ahead of his time by the time he left office in 1980. All right. So I can see what the machine can do to somebody who has good intentions. I lived through the era of John Kennedy and Robert Kennedy, and I know exactly what the machine can do to those with the best of intentions for the rest of us. It's going to take something a lot bigger, I think, Susan. But I appreciate your throwing that comment out. A lot more grassroots, a lot more us taking back our power. And what does that mean in this context? I think it means that we have come to the place where we are no longer, we opt out of participating with that which does not support or defend life. We do not opt into anything that is done without our remit, without our permission or consent. We do not allow ourselves to be distracted by what is going on the 360-degree horizon. Neither are we apathetically ignoring it and letting that become then our center. We become the center of our universe. That is spiritually driven, or what's the word? Overtaken egoic inflation. I'm the center of my universe, you know. Everything is okay, and everything is going to be okay. Famous last words, all right? So Saturn and Pluto are conjunct at 22 and 18 Capricorn. They're both conjunct their own south nodes. What does that mean? Okay, it's a mathematical archetypal position in space-time. it means that everything that has been sort of accumulating karmically over the last 4,000 years, it's up. And we're having to deal with the detritus of the human unconscious. And all of this is conjunct the South Node. So again, more old lessons, more old patterns. This is stuff going back to probably Atlantis, if not older. All right? We're faced with the same things. So we've got this happening. We've just had the full moon, right? And we have both Pluto and Saturn conjunct South Node. We have Neptune stationing to go retrograde on the summer solstice. And Mercury entering its shadow period to go retrograde in early July. So here we are at this, again, one of these nexus points, if you will. And then we have the major eclipses coming in July 2nd and July 17th. Capricorn, Cancer, okay? As long as the nodes are in Cancer and Capricorn, we're going to have these eclipses in Cancer and Capricorn. So it's, again, it's like home, nurturing, pleasure, enjoyment, food. Let me interrupt for a moment. Susan says that, yes, Marianne Williamson says this too. Right, okay. Basically, I think if I were in her boots, I'd just be calling for a complete tearing down of the whole edifice. But hey, I'm not in her shoes, and I'm not interested in doing that. Susan, so the archetypes are playing out in full sight. Yeah, which is both positive and dangerous. Because, you know, again, are we giving power to the archetypes? The archetypes are, you know, those are the old demigods of Greek and Roman times and older. The archetypes, we have to be careful not to no longer identify with them as divine spirit in human flesh. To continue to identify or give power away to even the astrological archetypes, which I've done, which everybody's doing, or, you know, ascended masters, or any of that kind of languaging, any of that kind of thought process, again, creates a level of separation that is a stunning thing. Okay, now we have to kind of remember, yeah, all that is part of the oneness of all that is. That's great. Whatever whatever floats your boat, but you cannot impose that on anybody. You cannot ask anybody to go along with your particular version of reality. What we are encountering and what we are seeing happening right now is a lot of different closed systems coming up against each other, and you cannot attempt, and you should not attempt, to try to change a closed system, because what's built into those closed systems are attack mechanisms to defend its very existence. This is why I'm not too sure about Marianne's campaign making any headway, not because I'm a defeatist or a pessimist, but because of the fact she is attempting to go in and convince a closed system they're wrong. It won't work. It just never has worked. The only way you confront the bully, I'm sorry to say, is to smack it across the nose. And until we find that power in us to say no, and to say no in a way that isn't just, oh, pretty please, can we? Is it okay? We are not standing in our full empowered divine feminine. We're not standing in our full empowered divine masculine. We're not trusting the movement of spirit in our lives completely and totally. We are making a deal. And we continue to make deals. We make deals with esoteric systems. We make deals with religion. We make deals in terms of the economy and the financial structures and business, and with our partners or spouses, or, you know, we're all looking to make a deal so we can feel safe and secure. That's not becoming a viable strategy any longer. Why? Because there's so much going on with planetary triggered stuff that's being triggered by the sun, the solar activity, the Schumann resonance, the cosmological systems. It's like spirit's on the move and saying, hello, are you getting the message? This age that humanity has been living through, this cycle is coming to an end. Whether you're ready or not, here we come. Eckhart Tolle said it well right after 2001. After 9/11 happened. It's like all things do pass. Even the sun will die. Stop holding on to what no longer works. When I was channeling Archangel Ariel, and Ariel was saying, stop trying to put new tires on an old broken down car. Good point. Bad economy move. All right? So we look around, we see all this complexity, and we see all this stress, and we feel it in the bodies, in the collective empathic awareness that we have, it is important to remember what makes us feel good, what makes us feel real, what makes us feel whole. So what I'm here to do, what I'm here to offer is the things I have learned, the wisdom I have garnered through my whole life, but specifically the last 25 years, on helping everyone and anyone who wants it, and there's a resonance for it, to step through their identity programming, step through their self-limiting beliefs. I'm not talking about self-limiting beliefs, but the beliefs you were told to believe in that are limiting. Okay? This isn't about blaming. This is about understanding where the source of these things come from and then addressing them creatively and ruthlessly, fiercely. All right? The other half of this is, how do we get back into feeling pleasurable again? How do we have fun again? How do we recognize ourselves as curious, playful, loving, experimental beings? All right? Simple as that. Dump the guilt, dump the shame, dump the apologies, dump the masks. How do we get back to that? How do we get back to Eden? What happened to the fun? Huh? So that's what I'm about. That's what I'm interested in. Fun is fundamental unity neurology. All right? If you feel happy, your biology changes. If your biology changes, you feel happier. Right? And it's not runner's high we're talking about here. We're not having to jog 4 miles to feel better. So if you're interested in that, if you're interested in really busting through, kicking out the jams, then I'd love to talk with you. I'd love to have a chat. And you can do that. There's a link somewhere in the post here. But more than that, I want you to take an inventory of what it is that you are putting off in your life so that you have to be responsible, get things done, and you keep putting your pleasure, your joy, your fun on the back burner, further and further down the list. I'll get to that when I get all these other things ticked off of my to-do list. Then I'll enjoy myself doing X, Y, Z. All right? If you don't have that on the first 1 or 2 parts of your to-do list, that what have I done for myself lately? What feels pleasurable to me? What feels fun to me? What feels blissful to me? What feels ecstatic to me? Honey, all those other things are just not going to happen as gracefully and easily and as wonderfully as they could be. Why? Because you are making them to-dos. You're making them as things that you engage with in a way that is consciously graceful and joyful. All right? Simple as that. Hey, it's a day-by-day commitment. It's an hour-by-hour commitment. But you got to start somewhere. You got to start somewhere, and you got to start saying to the talking heads out there, which right now I am one, the talking heads out there, the Trumps, the Boris Johnsons, the the experts. Stop telling me how to live my life. Stop telling me what's good for me. Stop telling me what it is I should be doing in order to achieve success or be popular or to be saved. Okay? It's a waste of time and energy. You feed the machine. I'm going to tell you a little secret. One of the things that keeps happening over and over again is the idea that someone else might have the answers or somebody else is an expert in something. We're all novices. If you're not willing to make mistakes, don't even start. All right? I am here where I am at right now in my life because of the things I learned from the mistakes I made. And I still am. This is you're never done, okay? You're never done. I'm never done. But the wonderful thing is that there is a constancy, there is a solid core of joy and ecstasy and knowing, which to me is the science of faith. That's knowing versus debating or conjecturing or theorizing. Knowing that you are an eternal divine being, and your body is part of that, your humanity is part of that, the human experiment, the anthropological or anthropos experiment, was designed by the gods and goddesses, okay? It wasn't an accident. And no, we weren't seduced and tempted to fall. We are not a fallen race. We got deceived. We got handed a bill of goods and told it was the truth. So if truth is interesting to you, if truth is important to you, then all the more reason that maybe we could have a little chat, because there is so much fraud and fakery out there. Did you see the recent fraudulent video of Trump? Did you see the one of, on was it WhatsApp or somewhere? People can create anything these days and pass it off as real. And we buy it. We pay for our jailers to keep us in prison. No. This isn't where we were intended to be headed. We aren't intended to be doing through this nonsense we're going through right now. But we're here, so we have to do something with it. It's our problem to solve. Okay, it's our problem to solve as a species. All right? And as Eckhart Tolle said, after 9/11, we have maybe 100 years left. Evolve or die. As a species. Unfortunately, we take the rest of the planet with us, the way it's going. I'm not doom and gloom. I'm a realist. I'm a conspiracy factualist. I'm not a tinfoil hat in the classic sense. So I've been in this long enough to know the difference between... what was it in that Steve Martin movie? Difference between shit and shinola. So, I'm a straight talker. I'm not going to mince words here, all right? So if you're offended, then sorry, you can change the channel. Just click off and bye-bye. But I know you're not. So, again, fun, pleasure, joy, self-care. Number 1, 2, 3, and 4 on your list. And when they start slipping down to number 20 and 22 and 25, that's the time to be a little concerned. Meditation's part of that. Stopping and listening to Spirit. Stopping and talking to God and Goddess. That is numero uno. Numero uno. The apex. Follow your Spirit without hesitation in each and every breath and with each and every step. And everything else is just entertainment. Try to remember that one. Okay? Yeah, sometimes it's bad entertainment and you need to change the channel or just turn off the damn set, but it is entertainment. Okay. That's my little transmission for today. And today being only Wednesday, I still have Friday. So that's the exciting part. That is the day before the solstice and before Neptune turns retrograde. So I think we should have a recap, another little go at all of this on the 21st. Probably in the morning, could be in the afternoon. Who knows? We'll see. Thanks for tuning in. If you liked what you heard and you want to follow through and have a further chat with me, then just click on the link or message me through Facebook Messenger. I'm a little slow in getting back to folks through Facebook Messenger because I don't have it on my phone anymore, and I don't constantly check on social media. But that's why I have a contact form on the website. That usually works better, okay? All right, thanks a lot for watching. Blessings on your journey, and enjoy today something for yourself, something that puts you into a state of pleasure and joy and relaxation and fluidity and fun, and takes you away from the noise field, takes you away from the anxiety. This is not escapist. This is not like, avoiding pain to just chase after pleasure. This is your birthright. This is what addicts and junkies are looking for, That feeling of the soul in complete peace, unity, and harmony. That is heaven. That is pure bliss. And when we lose touch with that, it's amazing the damage we can do to ourselves and the amount of damage we do to each other and to this planet. So, I'll end there. Blessings on your journey. Talk to you on Friday. See you later. Love you. Bye.